right, so we are moving along. I just finished this book, and I talked about this in one of the Vlogmas videos, but I just finished this book, Unapologetically Ambitious by Shelley Archambault, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But oh my goodness, you talking about setting a fire and reminding me of being strategic. It's why I love strategic coaching, and just remembering like how that we need to get back to being intentional and making plans and sticking to them. Oh my gosh, it just set me back, like not set me back, but set me on like fire, like for real, for real. So it was a perfect time to finish this before the 2022. And then I'll be picking up this one, and I think I can finish this before the end of 2021, the High Five Habit by Mel Robbins. But definitely, if you can get this one and squeeze it in, yeah, even if you read it the first month of January, because I'm trying to get a lot of stuff done before the clock actually turns, but whatever. But any day can be your January 1st. But if you can get it in, I would highly recommend. I'm Dr. Vernita Glenn White. I go by Dr. V, and I am the Brilliant Life Strategist, and I help people embrace their brilliance. I do that with highly successful, ambitious, high-achieving people who are looking for more personal satisfaction and fulfillment, especially beyond their positions, degrees, and titles. I said the big umbrella is embracing brilliance, and one way we do that is by helping them to regain their voice with confidence, to realign with their core values with clarity, and to embrace reinvention with courage. And the other part to that is I love to help people vibrate higher in their influence, impact, brilliance, and excellence. I take them through a series of frameworks, and then also help them with coaching in a strategic way. And what we're going to talk about, because this is a good topic for like my parallelpreneurs, and if you don't know, the Vibe Tribe is full of people who love their careers. They're looking for some of them want to branch out but not fully leave their career, so they're not really wanting to jump ship yet to be full-time entrepreneurs. So they're like, well, what else can I do and do that? So the side hustle, and I like to call it parallelpreneur. And then the people who are in transition with people who are in transition, not necessarily just for their careers, but for in life. So some of the things I'm going to talk about is part career, but it can go for any area of your life. So as I was looking this up, I don't know how I should feel about this, but a lot of the advice came around like people who want to transition, from their careers at 40, like 40 is midlife. And I'm like, wow. I'm not 40 yet, but should I feel some type of way because it's not that far off. So I'm going to talk to you about some tips that I think would be helpful. These are hacks that I have put in place, and there's some that I wish I would have put in place just a little bit more. So I don't have any regrets, because that's why, lesson learned, and that's why I'm coming to share with you. So I don't believe we live in regrets, but I do believe we live and make things happen based on the choices and the information that we had at the time. And then we can look back on them as life lessons for others. All right, so let's get into it. So the first one is to value your time over money. Now, as it relates to career, it's like start doing the things that make you happy now. Don't just say, oh, let me keep advancing in my career, make all the money that I can, and then I can live for my life. We've seen over and over again, especially from the Polaroid, that time waits for no one, and careers wait for no one, and careers aren't as stable as they used to. So you trying to focus and climb the corporate ladder or professional ladder before you do things that you want to do for you, long gone are those days. So stop that right now. Stop that right now. Value your time over money. So don't get me wrong, money is definitely important. So what I will say is find ways to switch that around to where you can maximize your time while also maximizing your money. Like there are plenty of people who are doing that out here. It is very possible. So think about it like that. Don't put all your eggs in a basket. Start spreading things out of having those multiple income technology, multiple streams of income. But then the part I do want to highlight, especially for my parallelpreneurs, is start looking at like all the other areas of your life. I was listening to one of my coaches today, and she was talking about, she was focusing so much on building her businesses, and she's very successful, like millionaire successful, but she was so focused on that. And then she always wanted to do fun activities like parasailing and snorkeling. And she just recently did that, and she's 60 years old, because she was like, well, I didn't think I had time to do it, or let me wait to do it while these things are in place. And I was like, no, you want to go snorkeling? You want to go skydiving? And that's me, because I want to go skydiving. It's like, what are we waiting on? Make sure that you take care of your responsibilities and go, right? So that's what I'm gonna challenge you in the 2022. There's more to do. So value your time over money. And that doesn't mean like don't get money, but it's like, especially those of my people that are still working their careers, like, I won't get too much into this, but one of my videos from when I did this series, Women Who Vibe, one of my sorors, she was like, it's hard for her to do the extra things she wants to do because of grit exhaustion, meaning that she pushed so hard at work that she feels depleted by the time she gets home, and she doesn't have the energy to do things on her own. That's what I mean, value your time over money. In certain cases, when it's time to shut down work, it's time to shut down work and pour back into you. So that is my first hack. And I did that. When I was thinking about transitioning out, I was like, this is what y'all gonna get. Now I did my best because I'm a rock star, and that's what we do. We're brilliant. Like our 75% blow people out of the water. So I did my job to the best. Like that's it. But we weren't going over. We weren't trying to get gold stars. I'm just being honest. The second thing, a hack, is to build a network, and this is one of the ones, and I've said this before. You've heard me say this, is the network building. I was a great networker when I was doing things like that, focused heavily on like STEM, diversity, equity, inclusion, and things like that. It could have been stronger, but when it was time for me to really, now I kind of feel like I have to start over, especially in the space of strategic coaching, personal development. Build your network. And if you do that now, before you make any type of transition, you can transition to whatever you want to transition, or stay a parallelpreneur, but whatever that thing is, you want to be at the top of everyone's list. So when people think about who's the best hairstylist, who's the best person that speaks on this particular topic, who's the best person to paint, who's the best person to help entrepreneurs get money, whatever the case may be, if your extension of your brilliance, your hustle, if that's what you want to grow, build your network around that. And yes, your network is your friends and families, but go outside of that. Go outside of your current space of work, because that's what I was doing. I was like, oh, I know people in this area, so I stay in this little bubble, and the bubble is big, but it's like when it was time to step out over there, I was like, I don't have anyone. And I saw myself doing something in this lane already. I didn't know what it was going to look like. So, and I'm in communities like that, but I didn't think to build networks in that place, connections. So I'm in those communities, but building the network, and to be the go-to person. And you want to offer value. You want to offer value to people, of course, but you want them to see you as, the expert, the person with the connections, the person who can make things happen. And then so when it's time for you to do whatever, then you don't have to spin your wheels like, well, who can I go to either buy my product, help me launch this, to set this up, or whatever, because you built that. So I hope that makes sense. So don't wait until you're fully out, or don't wait until you build up everything and then you're like, okay, here, and then it's like cricket. You want to do all of that while you're in the developmental stage. And that's what the thing I would say that I'm still working on. It's like everything doesn't have to be fully developed before you start talking about it and building that network and being more involved outside of your bubble. Because I think sometimes we take, especially professionals, career professionals, we take it for granted for the people that we're around. And because we're moving and shaking and, you know, we're at events or whatever, we think that's networking, but true networking is outside your bubble. So I hope that makes sense. The third thing is believe what's possible. But let me go back to tip number 2 for a second, because I saw this quote and then I want to say it, but I just saw it now to remind me. Here's an example of what I mean by networking. It says the best time to start a snow plowing business, and yes, I can relate to this even though I'm in Florida, but it makes sense. But the best time to start a snow plowing business is during the summer, because that's when you build all the networking. That's when you talk to people and letting them know that what you do, and the moment the snow falls, they can talk to you. So slide that in there with tip number 2. So tip number 3 is belief. And I know us, which is why I didn't start off with believing, because it sounds like so simple and woo-woo, like here we go again. But honestly, in the transition, the best hack, and go back and look over all of your different stepping stones and how you got to where you were. Did you have strategy and everything and things in place, and you planned and you did it? Yes, but the underlying thing to that was your belief. You believed that you were able to do those things. So when it's time to transition, you have to remember that you are capable. You are beyond capable. You have everything that you need, that you're born with, and then everything that you were blessed to obtain throughout your academic or professional journey. That is something that I am still working on as I'm expanding, especially in this transition. And I said in the last video, I need to stop saying transition because I'm in it. But as I'm expanding and really honing on and telling people exactly that what I'm doing, especially strategic coaching and in the deep work of transformation, is believing that I'm able to do this. Because, you know, when you spend a lot of time in your career as this one thing or known for that, and then when you make a transition, you know, people kind of look at you sideways, and you're not going to have that support, especially if you didn't build that network before you launched this out. But you have to know that you know that this is what you're supposed to do. And the bridge to the other side, and I had a mentor say this to me not too long ago, and it was like the bridge to the other side truly is belief. The mind is a powerful thing. Whether you can or you can't, and you heard this before, it's true. And if you look at everything that you've accomplished, you only accomplished it because you believed it. It wasn't the strategy, it wasn't the plan, because anybody can get a strategy or plan, but it's whether or not you believe the strategy or plan. I remember when I was getting my master's degree, and there was a professor, and she was like, what did she say? What is the best way? What is the first thing you have to do to train an elephant to jump? So we all, look, all of us, all these degrees, some of these people, this was their second master's, and we sitting there like, what? So we were like, train them, start at a baby. I mean, we were all over the place, and she was just shaking her head at us. And she said, wow. She said the first thing that you have to do to start training an elephant to jump is to believe that he can jump. Blew my mind. So I didn't even write that in my notes, but it came back to me, and it was like, we be tripping on some stuff, and it's like we tripping because we don't believe, right? So in any point that when you in your transition, however you're going to transition, if it's out of a career, another career, starting a business, fixing your family, starting your role in the community, whatever the case may be, you have to believe. All right. The fourth hack for all of my people who looking for some sort of transition is you got to put yourself out there. And it's similar to building your network, but it's more so like what happens when you get it. So you can build a network all day long, and they still don't know what you do and how to support you or buy from you or whatever the case may be. But it's put yourself out there. So once you have the network and the belief, now you got to start telling people what you do, what you offer, what move you want to make next. And for a lot of us, especially those of us who have hit like high milestones kind of early on or faster than expected, it's easy for us to be like, I don't have to do that anymore, because you don't get to where you are just by accident. You put yourself out there, you let it know what you wanted to do, you spoke it out to somebody, you said it in the universe, you prayed to God. Like, people knew. You put yourself in uncomfortable positions, you know, in situations and in rooms and in networking. I know I did, especially those years. I mean, I have overall, but I can most recently, especially my time as a college professor, to get into some of the rooms that I got into, the opportunities that I was able to have, they were not the easiest thing to do. I could have just showed up, taught my classes and went home, but I wanted to make an impact. So I had to do some moving and shaking, you know, some zigging and zagging. And it wasn't always the easiest thing. It wasn't the most comfortable thing, but I did put myself out there. And I think, and I could be wrong, comment down below, sometimes when we've reached a level and everyone's like, oh, that's good, that's amazing, subconsciously, and sometimes it's consciously, we don't want to go through that again. It's like, man, I finally made it. I'm good. Yeah, it would be great if, but do I want to go through all of that? And it can be tough putting yourself out there, and it's easier said than done. People are like, oh, just put yourself out there, but you got to deal with the rejection. Then the other part of it is dealing with the responsibility of once you made it happen. But when anything new, and I used to say, oh my, I don't want to start at the bottom again, but I got corrected by a mentor. You're not starting at the bottom, you're just starting at the beginning. And you know what this feels like. You know what this is like. And yes, it could be painful and it can bring up memories, but look at where you are now because of the decision you made back then. So in any transition, you got to put yourself back out there. We've gotten a little too comfortable. And we'll do some things, but not too much, because like I said, our 50-75% looks amazing to other people. So putting yourself back out there, and we have to constantly push our limit line. And our limit line means going out. For me, I know that I really wanted to grow this coaching and consulting business, training and development company. The first thing I had to do is I actually had to, practice and coach people. I know how to coach people in the academic space. I know how to coach people about STEM education, leadership, and things like that. But in the personal development space, I looked at my phone and reached out to maybe 15 women, who fit the criteria of women I want to work with. 10 of them responded. So either some of them did a full day session with me, or some of them did the 30-45 minute session with me. And yes, they knew me and I knew them, but I was still terrified because that's not what they know me for. But they trusted me to go through the process. But I had to put myself out there. They saw my posts all day long. Oh, that's great, Vernita, that's great. But they didn't know I needed to actually practice and to ask them. That was very uncomfortable for me, because I'm used to people coming to me and say, this is what we need. I'm not used to going to asking people for what I want and need. And that goes back to Shelley's book. We got to go and give people notice and tell them exactly what we need. And if I look back over my career trajectory and even my personal life, I've done that in a way, but I forgot. So put yourself out there and push past your limit line. We all have one, but we got to push past it. And you've done it before. Now it's time for you to do it again and know that you're stronger for it this time, and even the next time. This is my favorite, for high achievers in some sort of transition in life or career, is embrace your brilliance. Yes, that is my movement, that is my thing, but truly embracing your brilliance. And that'll help you build up your self-esteem and your self-confidence, one in yourself and the other one in your skill set. Go and just take some time, and then you won't be able to do this in one sitting unless you have a lot of hours to spare. Start looking at everything that you do. You can start looking at your current job description or position and write that. Well, look at your position, but then look at the description of what they needed for that job. All of that applies to you, whether you believe it or not. If you got the job, they thought you could do it, or you started doing it once you got the job. Write down all of that. Do all of that for all of your careers. Go back and look at the major that you had in school. What was the outcome that they hoped people with this type of degree had? Because you obtained the degree, that means you got those skill sets some way, somehow. Look back at who you are as a person. You know, I talk about core values. Well, I haven't talked about it in Vlogmas, but when you hear my intro, you hear me talk about realigning with your core values with clarity. Take some time to go and look at your core values. Who are you as a person, your personality? What do you gravitate towards? Look at the things that you do, wife, mother, sister, brother, leader in the church, community leader, whatever the case may be, all the roles that you play in people's lives. Write down the things that you actually do and as a skill set. What this does is to help you see yourself bigger than what you give yourself credit for. Like I said, it builds up your self-esteem and your self-confidence. And it's almost like your brag sheet, your evidence that you're able to do this. This helps with belief. And yes, it's, you know, we do like to see examples of people because success leaves clues. But sometimes we can see like, oh yeah, it's possible for them, but we don't see it's possible for us. So that's the belief, and the way to help that belief is to have some evidence within yourself. Because sometimes where we want to go, we don't have evidence for that particular thing. But when I talk about evidence, it's like, well, what's already inside of you? So I know faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So I'm not saying you have to see the exact thing you want to do for it to happen, but you've seen evidence of something that's parallel to it. Like there's nothing new. And I won't get into this, but I think it's End of an Era or The Tutor. I don't know, something from Sarah Jakes Roberts. And she talks about the time when you've been in tutoring and then a season when it's the test. Tutoring doesn't always look like the test, but you got the skill sets to make sure you pass the test. Same thing with your evidence and your embracing brilliance. You can write down all the things, you know, that's come your way, things that you're able to do and accomplish, and look at the skills. And because of that, you know that you're able to do your next, even if you don't think you have the exact skills for your next. So I hope that makes sense. So those are the 5 hacks that I wanted to share for highly ambitious, high achievers who are looking at some sort of transition. To make sure that, you know, you value time over money, you put yourself out there, you have belief in yourself, you build your network, and then you embrace your brilliance. Comment down below and let me know which hack resonated with you. If you have another one, I would love to hear that one as well. And if you disagree with any of the hacks that I shared, you feel free to tell me that in the comments, but also tell me why. All right, so that's all I have for you. Don't forget that we are in the middle of a giveaway. We are wrapping up at the end, so you have time to go back and look at the previous videos. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like all the videos within the Vlogmas series, Vlogmas 2021. Within that series, and comment on every single video. It doesn't have to be a thesis, it doesn't have to be a dissertation, but just a quick little comment so that I know that you actually showed up. And it does help me with my views and for me to grow my channel. And see, this is me asking for what I want and what I need, all right? So make sure you all have a fantabulous day. And remember to be well, be empowered, be bold, and be brilliant. Until next time, bye. I was watching this YouTuber, I think it's From Head to Curve, you know, I love her. You know, I haven't watched in a while, but I started back because she came back across my feed. And she said something that I've been thinking, but she actually said out loud. You don't want to I have all these corporate type clothes and dressy clothes, but during all these videos and being in the virtual space, I really don't have to dress up as much as I used to. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a good picture and I do go out, but not as much. And I was thinking, I wonder if I should get most of my lounge clothes from like Walmart. Like, why invest heavily on clothes that I'll be in a house in? And she did a whole haul on that, especially for full figure women. And I was like, yeah, great idea. I think I'm going to start doing that.